several government buildings in Johannesburg have been found to be unsafe. This since 3 firefighters died while trying to douse a blaze in the Bank of Lisbon building last year. The building accommodated a number of government departments. So we talked to a Gauteng MEC for Infrastructure Development, Tasneem Utara, about what's changed since then. MEC, thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon. Let's talk there. What has changed since then?
Yes, well, all the government departments, after the condition assessment report was released last year, we undertook a voluntary evacuation of five buildings to be able to deal with emergency issues. We've finalized addressing the emergency problems, which resulted in us addressing fire escape routes, training of staff, being able to make sure that they can evacuate if and when there is a problem. We then went on to undertake projects that will make sure that buildings are now up to occupational health and safety standards. Once we concluded that project, we then moved departments back into buildings. All government departments are now back in their buildings. We have 3 departments which still need to be moved, not because of unsafe situations, but for various reasons. For instance, the Department of Roads and Transport has requested to be housed in one building. That will be concluded by the end of November, as well as the Department of Human Settlements, which is moving to 37th Street. And ourselves, as the Department of Infrastructure Development, we will be moving back to where we are currently housed, which is Corner House.
Now, on the other side of it, I mean, MEC, you'd appreciate the fact that it must always take some kind of emergency to happen. There must be some event in order for us to act. In other words, where's the proactivity really when it comes to being able to see and have foresight when it comes to, you know, some of those situations? For example, the safety of government-owned buildings, because a lot of the public servants actually work there, you know. So in light of that, I mean, we're looking now at being reactive. In other words, there was a fire, we had firefighters, people lost their lives, and now we had to put in measures. What are we going to do to ensure that this is preventable, that we don't have another situation where people fall victim to unsafe buildings and then there's loss of life?
Well, the condition assessments were done before the fire broke out. Unfortunately, just 2 weeks before that fire broke out, the report was made available. So condition assessment is part of what we have to do as a department on an ongoing basis. So maintenance, making sure that staff are well trained, aware of the environment, as well as conscious of hazards around them is an ongoing process. Maintaining, making sure that the department, the buildings are kept to standards is an ongoing process. So unfortunate as it may seem that it's reactive, it's ongoing. The condition assessments are ongoing, and then we address issues as and when they arise. We just took a precautionary measure to evacuate 5 of the departments, not because of unsafe conditions of the buildings, but there were emergency matters that we had to deal with, and we felt the best way to deal with it was to have empty buildings, deal with the matters, and then get staff to move in.
Yeah, let's speak a little bit about this, these staff members, MEC, because you would appreciate that in any form of emergency, one must actually have a clear evacuation plan. And if there is a situation which is aggravating, then there must be individuals who know how to exercise certain safety measures. So have the staff, will you be implementing measures so that staff are trained in CPR, for example, various safety measures, that when there is an evacuation, they are quite aware of the evacuation plan and are able to be proactive in it, so that indeed you don't have a situation where you've got large capacity of people and people going to a state of panic and not being able to exit and evacuate and actually compromise an evacuation plan?
Yes, that's quite critical. So we train our staff, and each government department has the responsibility to train their own staff in relation to occupational health and safety standards. We work together with labour and HR units of the different departments, but we are responsible for infrastructure development. Likewise, all departments are responsible for their own staff to be able to train them in relation to occupational health and safety standards. It's ongoing, especially when you have, so evacuation plans are there. It's just about making sure that the staff are kept up to speed all the time on those plans.
MEC, we're going to leave our conversation there for this afternoon.